So what are your hopes for Budget 2011? Name three.
Well, as you know, the budget is basically the government's revenue versus their expenditure plan for the 2011. And for the last few years, the government has been spending beyond what they have, what they receive. And this is turning up in the form of a deficit, and they are funding this from the bond market, essentially. So what investors really are looking for is for them to have a controlled expenditure. That they don't mind them spending more than what they have, but not beyond a certain amount. Because beyond that, it becomes a bit too aggressive, and it can affect the bond market and bond prices. The other thing investors are looking for is the expenditure should go towards more productive capex and obviously a lot more efficiently spent. Some of so basically the three things that we're looking for is control expenditure into productive sectors, and more efficient use of the money that they have.
What will the budget actually consist of?
The budget, the key focus, as we understand, will likely be shifting to support the economic transformation plan, which is focused onto the construction sector, and in particular the MRT. So we expect the bulk of the interest to be focused on this sector, the construction and the building material sector.
Okay, speaking of the deficit, what subsidy cuts would you expect in order to lower the deficit, as according to the 10th Malaysian Plan, we are supposed to reduce the fiscal deficit to 2.8% of GDP by 2015?
They have a long-drawn plan which is to remove various subsidies. The key among them is the petrol subsidy. So we would expect more reduction of petrol subsidies, but gradually over the next couple of years. That petrol subsidy reform is crucial for the government to fund all these MRT projects and also for their other expenditures.
So how much lower would petrol subsidies likely to be for Budget 2011?
It shouldn't be that drastic, but we're looking at roughly about 2 to 7%.
What other subsidies do you think would be lowered as well, or would it just be petrol?
I think if they can do the petrol, then they'll be linked into the other energy sectors like your natural gas subsidies and your electricity subsidies as well. So there's a flow-through effect to a lot of the other sectors.
And looking at the goods and services tax, which was widely expected for Budget 2010, has been delayed indefinitely. So when will that be likely to take off?
The official line is that they are supposed to implement it in 2011, but that has been delayed. Even the tabling of the actual bill has been delayed. Given that it's a very politically sensitive issue, and given that the elections are pretty near the corner, one would expect them to implement it maybe after the election, which is 2013 or 2014. So you'll hear more news of it maybe around 2012.
How does all this affect the portfolio that you hold? What are you going to be buying, selling, or holding?
From the budget perspective, most of it has already been leaked out to the market, or the market has already digested it, so to speak. As a result, we do not expect much impact from the budget itself. But in terms of our portfolios, I think the beneficiaries and which we are positioned into are the construction sector, the building material sector, and to a certain extent the property sector as well.
Could you name a few stocks?
Some of the key stocks that could benefit from this are your construction names like Gamuda, which has done really well, your WCT, your IJM, which have lagged to a certain extent. Your building material stocks, which have done well, are Lafarge Cement. Those which have played catch up are like YTL Cement. And then on your steel sector, you have your Lion and your Anjus and your Kinsteel. On the property sector, I think the whole property sector has lagged the market to a certain extent, and it has finally started to move. So the key key liquid property stocks which people tend to look at is your IGM Land, your SP Satir, and your Marsing. And then it goes down to the second liners like your Sunway City, your IGBs. And those are the obvious plays when people want to go into the sector, they tend to buy those.